Well, good morning and welcome to the Building Podcast. Today, we're going to look at the role of technology and specifically some information technology or IT within the construction industry. And I'm really pleased to be joined today by Vassos, who I've known for years. Vassos is currently the managing director of a company called AIFORSITE and is promoting a new type of technology called artificial intelligence, which many of us will have heard of throughout the industry. And I'm hoping Vassos is going to challenge our perception of IT within the sector. And he's going to be able to tell us a thing or two about artificial intelligence and its role going forward within the sector. It's an area we're all going to have to get to grips with quite quickly if we haven't started already, because it's got the power to change the way we do construction. Vassos, welcome to the Building Podcast.
Good morning, Mark. Thank you very much for the opportunity. You and I go back a long, long way, too many years to mention. But I think my role in the industry has remained the same over the years. I'm here basically to make a difference. Make a difference under two sets of principles. If you don't measure, you can't manage. And the other principle is those of rethinking construction. Because for me, my life changed when I first met Sir John Egan in 1996 in BAA, before Terminal 5, and got involved with him in understanding and implementing some of the principles of rethinking construction. So I'm very lucky in that what I do, I'm very passionate about. And therefore, for me, what I do is not a job. It's a 24/7 hobby. So yeah, as you said, I'm the CEO of AIFORSITE UK. And AIFORSITE, for those that haven't heard about us, it has a very simple mission: to remove wasted tool time from the construction process. Why that mission? Well, because despite the efforts over the years to enhance construction productivity using things like BIM, MMC, lean manufacturing principles, numerous researchers and studies and reports, such as the latest ONS, indicate that productivity in the construction industry has actually fallen by 10% over the last 30 years, whereas the rest of the UK has actually increased by 30%. And at best, believe it or not, Mark, only 40% of the construction workers' time is spent making the building grow.
Now, Vassos, you and I have looked at these figures with despair over many years and tried to find ways of improving those times. I thought just for the benefit of listeners, it might just be worth giving a bit of your pedigree, because you've lectured at and run courses at Cambridge University. You've been involved in the best practice movement for, well, as you say, for many years. We don't need to go into how many because it might expose both of us. But it might be I think it's worthwhile because you're the ideal person to talk to today because of your background in all these things that you've been involved in. So perhaps it's just worth talking a little bit about where you've come from.
Okay. As I said, my life changed when I joined BAA and worked under Sir John Egan for 4 years. Trialing out the rethinking construction processes, project called Genesis. And just to give you an idea of the kind of people I have there with me, I was a project manager. Mark Reynolds, who's now the chairman of MACE, used to be my construction manager. And Ray O'Rourke used to be my concrete frame contractor. So we worked together over the years. We've done time and motion with BRE at the time, because the first thing Aliga sent to me, Vassos, what are you measuring? And, we told them, we measure time, cost, health and safety. It says, get lost. What are you actually really measuring? Do you know your productivity levels? And we looked at him blindly. We didn't know what he meant. So he says, you better go and find out what's going on. So we went to BRE, and to our surprise, BRE has developed the time and motion studies that the industry were using in the 60s and early 70s to measure their productivity and improve their performance. And then after the mid-70s, when we went into subcontracting, all that knowledge and information was thrown out of the window. So my first 4 years were working with BAA and Sir John Egan were the years that changed my working life. I then went to BRE because once we knew what to do, then we had to, reinvent the wheel and go back to the future for the first time. And we invented Calibre, or we developed Calibre, and Calibre was used to measure productivity in the early 2000s for a number of clients, public and private sector. And then after that, I got involved with a number of academic institutions like the Cambridge University, also Manchester Business School. And in addition to that, I got involved with the National Federation of Builders, as you know, and been developing a number of training and construction measurement tools and systems for improving the performance of the National Federation of Builders overall, but as well as clients. So that's where I come from, really, in terms of the background and in terms of the knowledge. I get involved in academia even now because I like to give something back. And there is not a better challenge than actually standing in front of a classroom of students asking you difficult questions, and you have to actually convince them that what you are saying is true and correct and is the way forward. But there's nothing also more rewarding when you see in their eyes that they suddenly get it. They get infected with a new pattern of thought that actually would change the whole way of thinking. And that's why I try to still be involved in academia as much as I can.
I think it's a great honor to be able to lecture these to the new people coming into the sector. As you say, they can be enormously challenging, but enormously satisfying at the same time. And it's a great privilege. It really is. And so now you're CEO for AIFORSITE. A little bit about AIFORSITE, just so that people can some idea what you're up to now.
AIFORSITE is a Finnish organization started about 8 years ago. And as I said, the mission is to develop tools and, as the name says, AI systems to improve the productivity of the construction sites. So 2 years ago, I came across them and automatically I jumped on it because it reminded me of the good old days of Calibre and the analog way of measuring productivity and wasted tool time. So for the last 2 years, we've been trying to implement and introduce those tools in the UK construction industry. The company overall has about 120 odd projects worldwide. It's only about 30 people strong, but we are all focused on making sure that what we deliver are unique tools and systems for the construction sector and nobody else.
Oh, brilliant. Well, Vassos, I think you'd be the ideal person to tell us what artificial intelligence actually is, because everything almost from my pack of butter and loaf of bread that I buy in the supermarket's got AI put in front of it now. Let's hear from you what it actually means.
Okay. First of all, I think it's important to understand that the industry we're in, construction, for obvious reasons, is very heavy on documentation and reporting, be it health and safety or be it cost and time, etc. So therefore, over the last few years, over the last 5 to 10 years, we've been using digital tools and cloud-based software and applications, filing systems, BIM and CDE, to actually gather that information and start using it for reporting. But the amount of data we collected over the last 5 to 10 years has been gigantic. Companies routinely collect a large amount of data, not only in terms of design and BIM, but also in terms of site resources, information, plant, people, materials, millions of images and videos, millions of safety observations, quality checks, hundreds of pages of minutes of meetings, unfortunately, and never mind mentioning emails. So all that information at the moment is manually viewed or used. Now, the reason why AI is important and what I think AI at last can give us an opportunity to review that data and use that data in real time. So therefore, I see AI as a virtual assistant. Everybody calls it artificial intelligence, but I like to call it an artificial assistant. Basically, the role of the AI is to combine all that data that we are gathering and improve the situational awareness of all the stakeholders on a project in real time. So the ideal scenario is that AI will be able to streamline all the workflows by collecting, analyzing, and reporting data in a bespoke format in real time that will allow managers, supervisors, directors to quickly understand the information and make appropriate decisions quickly. Mm-hmm. And that's where AI, to me, that's what is AI. And that's where AI comes on its own.
So the question that comes from that then, Vassos, is that there's a degree of intelligence required to assimilate that information.
Yeah.
And then there's a further degree of intelligence required to then determine decisions from that information.
Absolutely.
And that boundary is quite a variable position, because the AI that you have and you train could start moving into those more strategic decisions that have to be taken from the data you're collecting. I mean, how do you manage that interface? Because it presumably depends on your customers and what they're up to.
Absolutely. Yeah, you're right. I think, first of all, we need to understand that AI is a set of learning models or algorithms that use data. And those data sets have to be there in order to make it work. So first of all, without data, AI is absolutely useless. Mm-hmm. So we need to, as an industry, to be able to collect that data. But also the data we actually use has to be trustworthy, has to be accurate, and has to be real. So if you start using ChatGPT, for example, at the moment, and ask them to give you an answer on a question, they will go out in the internet and find that answer. It might be correct or it might be hallucinations. Whereas if you're using a dedicated AI developed for your organization, for your processes, the data they mine, they interrogate is your data. Mm-hmm. So therefore, whatever answers they come back from those algorithms, from the learning models, etc., those answers are based on your own data you recorded, and therefore you can begin to begin to trust it. I'm not saying you should use it without interrogation. That's what I call them assistants, because like any other a human assistant, when one of your graduates gives you an answer to a question you ask them, then you're not going to take it and actually put it in the report or send it to the finance team and say, that's what we're going to be doing, that's our planning, that's our current status. You will review it, you will interrogate it, and then make a decision or edit it as you see fit based on your experience. And that's why AI will never replace the human requirement. Mm-hmm. Because it's only, at the moment at least, it's only an assistant. Mm-hmm. But that assistant will take away all the repetitive, manual, mundane, sometimes very stressful, non-added value administration reporting tasks and automate them, freeing the human, us as managers, supervisors, to contribute more into a faster, safer, more value-added activities within the construction process.
So Vassos, how does AI and in that virtual assistant prioritize the data that it has? Because even within an organization's own systems, there will be competing information and competing knowledge. And health and safety is a classic one. Are you going to spend more time putting up barriers or managing the traffic? And there's different ways of doing both, and it will depend on the sort of site situation and, more importantly, the people involved. So quite interested how your virtual assistant is going to be able to prioritize the information to be able to inform those decisions that you're talking about.
I think that is going to be dependent on the human and the way the human actually asks the questions, and the way that we will, prompt and develop the question and the criteria by which we want the AI to respond to, like we do on a human, a graduate. If the AI, the difference about AI is that if it's your unique AI within your organization boundaries, the difference from the ChatGPT, as I said, is that the AI will come back and say, well, actually, I can't find this, or I can't determine that the difference between this and the other. Can you be more specific, which is the highest criteria and which is the highest priority for you? And then that AI, she will go back, or he will go back and actually re-edit the answer until such time that you, as the manager, as the editor, are happy that what you are getting is good enough for you to bring your own expertise, your own experience, and your own know-how on top of that to make it real.
Okay. I mean, it sounds though it's a very different skill set we require to be able to maximize the use of this.
Yes.
And to be confident we're getting best value and even any value out of some of the information that's coming through. Is that something you're finding with your customers, that you're talking about communication and expertise to deal with this?
Absolutely. We need the skill of having ability to first of all have a basic understanding of what AI does. Not to be a software designer or engineer, but to know what is the learning models, what is the different languages used by AI, etc. What is an algorithm? How do they work? How do they interrogate data? How do they get it? But also to be able to prompt them in the right direction, and finally to be able to have the skill to analyze and appreciate the data. So we need more skills regarding data analytics, data literacy, not just being able to get the information on the graph and just use it blindly. So I think one of the major skills that we need to develop in the industry, and you actually very very well define yourself, is problem solving and decision making. Those skills are not there in the industry at the moment, not in a great extent. So with the new age of AI, we need those skills to be able to automatically analyze complex information that we're given, in order to ask the right questions using the appropriate data and align our objectives against what we actually asking the AI. So the first thing you got to ask yourself, what is the problem? What am I trying to solve? And then be able to find the right words and the right questions to ask AI to go away and get you the data by which you be able to actually make decisions to resolve that problem.
I mean, Vassos, sounds to me as though you're not talking about the industry employing a whole load of data managers, but you're talking about training everybody in the industry to be able to manage the output from the systems that we're creating at the moment.
Because you're absolutely right. Because AI will be used by the dry liner on a construction site more, in my opinion, than it's actually going to be used by the managing director and the chief executive and the board. So we need to teach those operatives, how to actually prompt and ask the AI to show them the pipe drawings for the basement 3 toilets on the foul water system.
Mhm.
and to do it in their own language, because a lot of them probably don't speak English.
Yeah.
So, our AI systems, and this is where how we develop Wendy, our AI systems that we develop have to be multilingual, and they have to be easy to be used by the operatives, the supervisors, and the managers, because you know very well that if it's not intuitive, if it's not easy to use
Mhm.
without any hassle, the guys on site will revert to manual.
Yep.
Yeah, we've seen it
Yeah.
time after time after time. And therefore, we need to make those user interfaces so, as I say, so easy that anybody, picking up the shovel, or anybody that's actually doing any kind of work on construction site can have access to the AI to help them to become more efficient, more productive,
Mhm.
all the way from the guy on the tools through the supervisors, the managers on site, as I said, directors and MDs.
Mm.
The
So
difference, sorry.
go on. I would say just short question then, Vassos, is how would you change or how would you improve current apprenticeships and some of the manual trades for skilled men and women? How would you change those qualifications or those training programs?
I would put courses on digital construction and AI language, AI communications, AI problem solving, etc., on the curriculum as soon as
Mhm.
possible. We don't have, we have no choice. We can't wait anymore. AI is not going to go away, Mark. It's
Yeah.
here to stay. So
Mhm.
the sooner our education and academia embrace it, actually, the sooner our institutions, that our academia are working with their criteria against the degrees and qualifications, as soon as our institutions realize that AI is here to stay, they need to allow us as an industry to develop those skills and teach them to our workforce from now.
Mhm. But
And
but one of the key challenges we've got is that I think one of the reticences is trying to understand where it's going to bottom out. If I take one of my mantras is that the Romans would be proud how we train bricklayers on our apprentices. Not
yeah,
necessarily true any longer, but we've been laying bricks for so long that we now know how we think we know how it works, and therefore we can do an apprenticeship for it.
yeah.
AI is 10 years old as a commercial opportunity.
Mm.
And I think people are still trying to work out how it's going to develop to make sure that we are training people in useful information rather than stuff that's going to be out of date before we know it. I mean, you and I would have trained on Fortran when we were originally starting
Oh
our
God, yeah.
programs. That's dead,
But
buried, and gone.
but I think the difference, as I said before, I think the difference with AI is that we don't need to be trained on those softwares. We just need to understand how, what to expect from the questions we give, and how to analyze that information and interpret that information. And most of the time, that information will be in a visual format
Mhm.
or in a spoken language. So therefore, it won't be difficult for anybody on the construction process to be able to interact with it. The issue will be is, how do I actually use it to solve my problem? How do I analyze that information? So it's all about analytics and problem solving and decision making. Do I have the power to actually do this?
Mhm.
That we need to teach and empower our people, because if we do that, their stress levels will be reduced drastically,
Yeah.
because they will be able to get what they need, when they need it, how they need it, at the time they need it.
Mm.
So I think we need to make it as simple as possible. And I think the AI potential allows us to do that.
I mean, that's so, as you'll be aware of training apprentices at the moment, they have to have maths and English qualifications before they're allowed to pass.
Yeah,
And that's a major hurdle for a great number of our apprentices going forward. So basic numeracy and communication
yeah,
skills are a real challenge as they are measured at the moment. I mean, perhaps we ought to be using AI as a vehicle for training those skills to something that's appropriate for picking up those behaviors and knowledge that you've just outlined.
Yeah. I think AI will help us I mean, I'm seeing it already on some of the educational courses I'm involved. You know, it is how to use AI on a day-to-day courses, academia, and not to cheat or to find the answers to their questions, but to understand the principles behind AI and what AI can actually do for you, and how your development, your soft skills, your as I said, your problem solving analytics side of things is enhanced by using that AI.
I mean, what you're actually saying, Vassos, is that we need to learn to be more human and using the human skills and let the computers go away and do the stuff.
Exactly. we don't need to know what's behind that AI in terms of software. We've got software engineers and everybody else out there to do it. We need to focus on the soft skills, on the interpretation, on the integration and collaboration with our fellow members of the supply chain, and on the ethical side of things as well. When it comes to, what are we building, how we are building it, what are we using in terms of materials, in terms of carbon emissions, in terms of diversity, etc. All those ethical questions will be part of what those new skills should be to our apprentices and the new graduates, engineers, architects, project managers.
So if we turn this on its head a little bit, so the reason for all this for this technology and introducing this technology, as you said, is an increase in productivity.
Yeah.
What do you think the prize is for the industry if we get this right?
Oh gosh, I mean, McKinsey report says if we get this right, it's a $1.6 trillion a year benefit.
That's just for AIFORSITE, is it, or is that for the UK or worldwide?
According to them, that's worldwide. But if we take the AIFORSITE, we are using the wasted tool time identifier and Wendy as the productivity engineer, and we're measuring site operatives' productive and wasted tool time, and then by actually putting beacons on PPE on the operatives. And if the operatives remain where they're supposed to be, working for more than 5 minutes at any one time, those operatives are deemed to be productive. Any movement outside that work area, as you will expect, and as Sir John Egan kept on reinforcing to me every 5 minutes, every 5 minutes they spend away from their work area, they're not productive. You will never see them on the assembly line moving away from the assembly line, apart from tea breaks, lunch breaks, welfare, facilities, etc. So by using that information, by taking that information in real time, Wendy, 5 minutes after the shift is finished, can produce a report that will allow the package managers to see that wasted tool time and to do something, in order for them to call a meeting, once a day, once a week, or whatever, how often they want to do, in order to say, why did we have that red time? Why did you have to go here, there, and everywhere? What was the reason? Not because the operatives want to walk around, and move up and down the floors and waste time. It's because there are a number of reasons they've been telling us over the years why they're moving: lack of materials, incorrect drawings, people ahead of me not clearing up, not finishing, whatever the reasons are, my equipment is in the wrong place or whatever. So they want, we need to find the answers by having that real-time data. The management team then is obliged to ask the whys, identify the causes, and do something about it. Now, if we do something about it, and I'm talking about UK now, if we improve by 2% every year, Mark, that is 12 minutes a day for a single operative. That is an hour a week. We got 2.6 million operatives on the construction sites.
Yeah.
You do the maths. That's 66,500 extra operatives
Yeah.
workload. That means that we don't need to recruit all those people that we are saying we need to recruit and find to deliver our projected workload by 2028.
Yeah. Yeah.
Only by 2% improvement in productivity. It's amazing how little everything can actually improve. Now, if we had a 4% productivity improvement over the last 2 years, that would have paid for all the inflation cost of labor for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
And that is the massive cake at the end of the road.
Yeah. Now, and the bit that I think is lost on a lot of people is that, the only way we can pay ourselves more as an industry without putting our prices up, and we're already one of the most expensive places to build in the world, is by that improvement in productivity. We have to be able to deliver more for less. We've had that mantra before. It's just unlocking it.
Well, I've been saying that since 1997.
Yeah.
It is very important to do that, because we can't throw people at it anymore. In the last 30 years, we've been throwing people at it. Prices have been going up. Our clients have been paying for it, and they haven't argued that much. But now they're waking up and say, whoa, wait a minute. Why am I spending this money? Labor is going to give us, last week, the budget introduced 100 billion extra pipeline to the construction industry. If we don't improve our productivity, we might as well throw away that 30 million today into the drain.
Yep.
Because it's waste.
Yeah, it is. No, it is. And we are wasting an enormous amount in the industry. I think everybody understands that waste.
Yeah.
Or doesn't understand, is aware of it. It's how to deal with it. Exactly.
But also, I think, they don't understand that it's actually, at the end of the day, it comes down to the guys on site. Right. It's all about those guys. If those guys are not productive, if those guys are not given the tools, the food, the water, that's what I call drawings.
Whatever it is. Yeah.
Whatever it is, they can't be productive. So therefore, they're wasting their time.
Yeah. Vassos, we could just come back a step on who this is applicable to, because you've already talked around about the need for data to be able to train and to mine the data for successful companies to do it. Is it your contention that it's going to be the large companies that are going to benefit from this technology, or can we apply it to small SMEs as well?
Absolutely, it applies to everybody. It's not just the big organizations. I personally believe SMEs have a better opportunity of doing this, because the decision to implement AI and to set up this data structures are done by a person from the same family, as very well know, as SME yourself. You make a decision, you get on with it and do it. You don't have all the hierarchy of a massive organization behind you and all the protocols and all the loopholes you have to go through in order to get to that data, or to set up the AI, or to try it out. So I think, small organizations, SMEs, up to a quarter of a billion pound turnover companies, will be able to actually take advantage of it themselves faster.
Brilliant.
But also, I think it applies to the whole RBA, all the RBA stages, from inception all the way to decommissioning. Because at each one of those stages, we need to make faster decisions, and we need to make more accurate decisions more effectively and be more productive to reduce the time scale of delivery, not just in construction, but according to our construction 2025 report, which is only a year away or a couple of months away.
I know, I'm watching it carefully. I was involved in that one.
We are not anywhere near delivering those goals of 50% reduction in cost, program, and carbon footprint.
No, we're miles off, and I think that ought to be a wake-up call for the industry in terms of where we are, and we were measuring it. I suspect the way we were measuring it as well needs to be looked at and checked as well. But it is there are certainly some challenges ahead.
Absolutely.
So it's great to hear that can be applied across the board then? I mean, one of the other sort of social and ethical questions that we have to grapple with is whether it's good news or bad news for us humans. What's your view on that?
Okay, as I said, I personally, my view on it is that for the built environment, the AI is not a foe. It's an assistant.
Yeah.
Humans will still remain in their role as decision makers, controlling the creative process, managing the multi-layer of relationships in the supply chain and stakeholders, enhancing the understanding and addressing the local specific society, cultural, aesthetic, and basically making the final call.
Yeah.
But they will be able to do that with the knowledge and information that our assistants will be able to give us to improve those outcomes. So I think yes, AI will eventually come into be streamlined into the public AI rules and regulations. But I think our ethical side of things should address the issues around diversity, around the need to focus on regenerative, sustainable, ethical design, solutions, materials, providing the solutions for different diverse societies and for nature to thrive and develop. And I think that the opportunity of using AI to interrogate those materials, those designs, those local conditions in real time will allow us to actually complement what we are trying to do as far as our ESG targets are concerned.
And is that possible using AI for? So my understanding, AI for looks internally for that information. I mean, you're talking there about effectively collecting information from around the world to identify the best practice that then can be applied in that situation. I mean, it's not dissimilar to the medical challenges, where there's a learned report produced every 30 seconds, I believe, around the world, that will inform and affect the way we do these things. So,
yes, and I think the fundamentals behind all this is that data is the center of everything. So therefore, people need to, I mean, at the moment, we are talking at project level in terms of having data and information. And then eventually over the next 2 or 3, 5 years, maybe we'll go to a company level sharing and integrating with the stakeholders. But eventually, I think, data should be shared across the UK PLC or across the globe when it comes to built environment. Because I don't think AI will breach any confidentiality or any IP issues. Because at the end of the day, AI doesn't need to know who's done what. As long as it knows that data is healthy, it's hygienic, it can be trusted, that data and that information and those lessons learned, which were not very good at the moment in the industry to share and use, can actually be transmitted across boundaries, across organizations, and across countries even.
I mean, enormous opportunity. I mean, if we just go to sort of the medium term, Vassos, what do you think? What's your prediction for where we'll be at the end of the decade, for instance? What do you think the scope for artificial intelligence impact on our built environment is for 2030?
Okay. Well, I think, first of all, I need to put a caveat to that, because unless we get it right first time, the industry will not adopt it. As I mentioned before, if something doesn't work, we are not very good at giving it a second chance when it comes to the construction environment. So therefore, we need to make sure the user interface is the right one. But assuming that we get the user interfaces corrected, and I have no doubt we will, then I think the big changes in the next 5 years will be integration. So first of all, at the moment, we have an integrated management system across most of the companies out there, even the SMEs. Then now is the opportunity of actually having an unlimited integration. So effectively, we are turning the IMS into AIMS. So that means, if we go, like, for example, I'm working with Mace at the moment, and they got, on this project we're working on, they got 22 different software systems to manage the project. And what they see Wendy doing, or AI doing, is actually being the ring that rules them all.
Okay, right,
Yeah. That's a reference back to the Lord of the Rings, obviously, but that's how I see AI. So within the next 5 years, I see that integrated AI MS system, not integrated management system, but AI MS system. But also, I think in the next 5 years, we will see more automatic material orders, material deliveries, and directives and information to operatives, autonomous data collection by robotics, and even in some cases, I think humanoids will be working side by side with the operatives wearing exoskeletons.
Yep. No, we've seen that from Tesla already, haven't we?
And that's in the next 5 years.
Yeah.
After that, I can't even begin to try to actually predict. But at the end of the day, the one thing we need to understand is that even if AI moves away from an AI virtual assistant, I like to see them becoming a virtual build environment coach. Because all that information will then be used to train and coach and make suggestions, not decisions, suggestions based on the information that they gather from across a number of data sets which are hygienic and trustworthy, and make those suggestions to the management team, to the designers, to the planners, to the cost managers, in order for them to enhance their their knowledge and use their logic to be able to pass on and develop in their own careers.
Yeah.
So
it's effectively adding more value back to the ultimate client, isn't it? It's collecting more intelligence and more wisdom.
Exactly. And also using that to feed back to the people that actually generated that knowledge and that information and those lessons learned. So instead of spending 6 hours in a workshop, lessons learned workshop in the beginning of the project, when your co-pilot or whoever, Gemini, whoever's going to end up being out there, they walk into the room, you already be identified all the lessons learned ready for you and make suggestions for you, for your program, for your health and safety manual, for your design, for your layouts, or whatever it is, your logistics, ready for you to discuss as a team. Because the final decision will always be, in my opinion, will always be down to the human.
Yeah, understood that. So Vassos, we had a great canter around what the role of this really exciting technology is within the industry. My final question really is to ask you, for those in the industry, what they should be doing now so that they can take advantage of this technology and the opportunities that this technology is going to present to them.
Yeah.
I suspect if they don't do it now, their competitors will have jumped, and it'll be very difficult to play catch up.
Exactly. I think, like everything else we done together before, but also the industry, you start with a decision at the board level that this is what we're going to do, guys. This is why we need it, and then appoint a champion, and a champion that is going to understand the fundamentals of AI, the opportunities, the challenges, and will take the lead to develop an AI strategy within the organization and develop a roadmap with real deliverables and timescales for the organization to follow and to communicate across the business and to the supply chain. But I think it's important, however, to jump in, not at the deep end, but the shallow pool. Take a simple baby steps. Start with some data that you got at the moment. It could be, held on Dropbox, if nothing else. Start with the simple use cases and make yourselves, the organizations began to get familiar with the use of that knowledge and that data, and then use that to then continuously improve the steps before you start, take a bigger step and then start running with it.
Mm-hmm.
But you need to make those babies full steps today.
Yeah.
So if you haven't got an AI champion, if you haven't got a strategy yet, why not?
Mm-hmm.
It's been around for 2 years. What the hell have you been doing?
Yeah. Well, we've been dodging all sorts of other bullets, I suspect, at the same time.
Yeah,
but
absolutely, but we haven't got the choice anymore.
No, and this technology is progressing very rapidly.
Very quickly.
Um,
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, Mark, I feel sad in a way, because I envy the young generation coming into this industry now, because they're going to be working side by side with sophisticated AI supported tools like Wendy, and the possibilities are endless.
yeah.
I wish I was back in my 30s.
Oh, the opportunities, Vassos, are enormous, aren't they?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Because it is important to just grab it. And maybe
well,
for the first
finish
time,
Vassos, let's finish on a positive note, shall we? Let's ask, what the opportunity for businesses to grab it is enormous. Yeah. And okay, none of us can turn back the clock on you and I at our age. We're going to have to just be where we are, I'm afraid.
Yeah.
What do you think if you're a youngster coming into the industry now, what would you focus on? Where would you put your energy?
My energy would be on, I don't know. I mean, sorry, I'm
too many opportunities.
I think the energy should be spent on the things that cannot be measured, actually, Mark. It should be around value, leadership, culture, the soft side of things. The technical stuff will still happen. You can't control. So if I was coming into the industry, I will join an organization that has the right leader, that has the right culture, the right emphasis and issues to address, and then that's what's going to make me thrive. Rather than the technology.
But in the right culture, then the technology is going to be there by course.
It's going to be there. Absolutely. You know that. I know that. If the culture is right, and if the leader is right, if the values are correct, then all these things will be a natural thing for the organization to have. You won't have to chase it. And that's what the youngsters are looking for. When they're looking for a new opportunity, a new job, they're not looking at the technical side of things. They're not even looking at wages and etc. They are saying, has this company got the right culture? Has it got the right attitude towards developing me, enhancing me, allowing me to thrive? And more importantly, is it helping the society to thrive and nature to thrive?
Yeah, I agree. I agree on all those things. And we have some very, in that way, wise youngsters coming through the industry now, looking to recognizing the importance and the value of those. No. Vassos, it's been a real pleasure catching up with you and talking through all things IT and artificial intelligence. You and I have the same view that the opportunities are enormous for this technology, and the support and the benefits to our industry could be, if we deploy this well, are enormous. So thank you very much for your wisdom today and for your time. And we wish you well with continuing your campaign for best practice and industry improvement.
It's been my pleasure. Nice to see you again.
Yes, thank you very much.
Bye.